Texas State Representative James Talarico still standing in the dark.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the program. Welcome aboard, everybody. Loading up the top today again. Once again, is El Senor Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas. We also have in the house Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Harry Denson from Missouri, Texas, as well as Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita in the chat. Remember, we don't get the first few dozen in Substack, but we have in the house Nancy Fagans. Do you lie? How you doing? Do you lie? Rosie Riverter. Cynthia Verdell says, hello all. Lorraine Vidal, welcome aboard. Jeannie B, how you doing? Trey says, hello. John A. Davis says, how? Do you lie? Democrats and progressives will allow refugs to steal the 2026 election with no fight, and they will lose because of non-voters. Well, you know what? Do you lie? That's why we're doing what we're doing. We're not waiting for the Democratic Party to empower people. We're telling people that they're already empowered and that they need to do what's right for themselves. In other words, my dear brother, do you lie? Let me just all things on the table. I am actually a precinct chair in the Democratic Party here in Texas. And I respect the rules of the Democratic Party when I'm wearing my Democratic Party hat. When I'm not wearing my Democratic Party hat, let me just tell you what I intend to do. I intend to do my part outside of the Democratic Party to encourage people of any persuasion, any party, or whatever to do what's right for themselves. And doing what right is going to be what gets us over the hump. But we'll continue, and please feel free, folks, to call in at any time, 281-823-7747, 281-823-7747. Thank you for that commentary. Do you lie? Gives me an opportunity to say something that I needed to say. All right, Michael Radden says, The Guardian, Gaza doctors becoming too weak to treat patients as hunger crisis deepens. Doctors and medical staff in Gaza say they're increasing hunger and the lack of available food is beginning to leave them too weak to provide urgent medical care to patients inside hospitals full of malnourished and injured. United Nations Relief and Work Agency Chief Philippe Lazani said that his teams had received reports of healthcare and aid workers across Gaza fainting due to hunger and exhaustion because of lack of food. Dr. Mohamed Abu Selmia, the director of Al Shifa Hospital in Gaza City, who said that, like the people of Gaza staff had not received any aid or had any meals in the past 48 hours, medical services will be affected because our staff will not be able to hold out any longer in the face of this famine. They are in a state of extreme exhaustion. Some have fainted in the operating rooms. This is a horror that continues. I don't think people can understand how bad things are in Gaza. I mean, I can empathize with what it is, but the criminal. I tell you what, Netanyahu is doing a disservice to the country of Israel, a disservice to the country of Israel, because I tell you, I want to let you know, I wasn't going to play this, but let me go ahead and bring that up. It's a TikTok from uh, the guy from what's the name? Let me go ahead and pull it up because I think it's an important thing to see, because it's not anti-Semitic to point out that Mr. Netanyahu is a war criminal. And I better play this because this guy did it in very good context. If I can get to it in time, which I'm pretty sure I will get to it in time, um, it hurts, right, to see the mutilation, the destruction that is actually happening. Let's go ahead. I want you to listen to this because this is heartbreaking, folks. This is outright heartbreaking. Check this out.
Everything. You don't own everything, Rabbi Shmuley. You don't own the American government. You don't own the American people. By the way, when is America going to get its $300 billion back? We gave it to a bunch of criminals to murder children. Okay, you murder children with our money. Every day you take money out of my taxes. I go to work every day, and then Israel takes money out of it to murder Palestinian children. You've murdered 20,000 children already. You're the aggressors. Israel has already killed more babies than Hamas has killed civilians overall. Israel has killed a stadium full of women and children, and you are surprised that we compare you to the Germans? Omar Bartov, an Israeli-American Holocaust expert, just wrote an article in the New York Times saying that now the Israelis are doing the type of genocide that makes saying never again absurd. Absurd. Why are they doing the thing that was done to them? The world had tremendous sympathy for all Jews, and I do, all decent human beings do. But what Israel is doing is lighting that sympathy on fire and saying, we get to murder, we get to kill, and you can't call us any names. We get to call all Muslims who fight back against us terrorists. We get to attack all of our neighbors. They attacked Syria again today. We get to break all the laws. We get to commit war crimes. And I'm telling you right now, just like the Germans, you do not have the right to commit war crimes, to commit a genocide, to kill all those children, and then hide and use as a shield. Oh, everybody's an anti-Semite, You're canceled. You don't get to say it. You've ruined your credibility. No, Israel has ruined its credibility. Israel is now one of the most monstrous states I have ever seen in my lifetime. They commit endless terrorism. They rob the American people of our money to rob Palestinians of their land. That is actually a stone cold fact. Okay. And you think you own everything.
And it's hard, and it's hard to argue against that. You can hold back and you can try to put all kind of things in historical perspective, but what is occurring in Gaza right now? And the show today is not about Gaza. I brought that up because of some of the commentary from Michael Ruddin and others in one of the chats. You cannot argue with this reality. All right, second item. Big country news. Canada wildfires have burned more than 13.6 million acres, 5.5 million hectares, this year, an area roughly the size of Croatia. Compared to 2023, Canada's worst ever fire season, 42.9 million acres of land were scorched. An extraordinary scale of damage that focused international attention on the growing threat of wildfires boosted by human-induced climate change. In 2025, Canada has counted about 3,000 fires, with 561 burning on Friday. You know what is the sick part about this? Think about how much they're. Verdell, who is wrong? I'm not sure what you're saying. Who is wrong? Cynthia, I'm not sure. Can you explain that for me? Okay, let's continue here. Faraver. Harry Denson says, good afternoon, Egberto, the Hacienda of Politics and Right. Looking forward to another edifying afternoon, and we'll try our best to give you an edifying after. No, you said he is not wrong. I thought you said he was wrong. Forgive me, Cynthia. I misunderstood your commentary. Thank you. Let's see what else we've got here. And by the way, folks, after the program today, I'm interviewing a Texas state rep, Salmani, I think is his name, to talk about redistricting and exactly what Democrats have in store for the how we're going to handle what's going on in the Texas state House right now. How they're going to mitigate the redistricting that the governor is attempting. Maywood from Long Beach, California. How are you doing? Who else? Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Mike Cisak from Missouri. And let me just tell you guys what I won't touch. Okay. I am, and all of you that are listening, I want you to understand this, because when you come here, you're not going to see everything that you see on MSNBC. Right now, they are hyperventilating on Epstein. They're hyperventilating on Obama may get arrested by Trump because of we're not going to take, those are not, Epstein is a real issue of 20 years ago. The media can handle that and etc. The Obama stuff is a ruse to change the subject. If the mainstream media wants to grab onto that, suffice it, they can. I see a couple of people are trying to get me to talk about it in the chat. I won't. And anybody that starts to talk about it, forget it. It won't happen. And by the way, Cynthia, I'm glad you said immune right there, because let me give a thing. Little does Donald Trump know that the Supreme Court, even if Obama were guilty of something, the Supreme Court has made him immune. You're a genius, Cynthia Verdell. But let me tell you the other crap that always got to me with the media and how terrible they are. Do you remember during the birther movement? The birther movement said, well, Obama was born in Kenya, or Obama was born in Thailand, wherever he was born. It was a problem because they would assume that it didn't make him a natural born citizen, right? This is our mainstream media that is supposed to be educated. If one accepts that Obama's mother is that white woman from Kansas, that alone makes Obama a natural born citizen, irrespective of where he was born. How did the mainstream media allow that narrative to take off, that a birth certificate had to be presented? It didn't matter if that birth certificate had said Kenya. Even if that birth certificate had said Kenya, Obama is a natural born citizen because of his mother. Just like Ted Cruz, having been born in Canada, I believe, is a natural born citizen because of who one of his parents are. So I mean, the stupidity that the media tolerates into the people that are not the people that push it are not dumb, but the people that are listening to it and carrying it with them just shows that they learned nothing in high school and the dangers of having civics not taught again. I am from Central America, Panama, and we knew all about this in American history. We knew about the major powers, and we also knew that, by the way, Senator McCain was born in the same hospital that I was born in Panama, a military guy, and nobody questioned Nobody questions his. Oh, look, you said it, Verdell. Nobody questioned McCain's ability to be president. He was born in my country, in my hospital. The hospital I was born in is where McCain was born, Cocosolo Hospital. Okay? So what gets me too often is the stupidity that we have to go through before we get to the real subject. And you know, you have folks in the chat that do all of that. It's mind-boggling. Egberto, I don't mind skipping Epstein as a topic. I might bring it up again whenever there's something substantive by way of major evidence. And look, I mean, you can actually say, give a one-liner or two-liners about, just to keep people up to speed of, hey, Epstein this or Donald Trump, they do have evidence that Donald Trump was with a 14-year-old or something. I didn't say that. I'm saying if something like that came up, hey, yeah, make that a point. But to go ahead and go overboard it, we're not doing that. We're not doing that about Obama. We're not doing that about any of these issues. This is a fact-based show. Nothing but facts, nothing. And, every now and then we have a little bit of fun. Okay? All right, let's see. Bruce Pollard here online. Hi, Bruce. How you doing, my brother? Great to see you here. Anyway, folks, I got the video that I was supposed to show you yesterday. I want to do it today. I think it's an important video. To the women that are listening, and to the men who love women that are listening, I want you to realize that the attack on women's bodies by the GOP does not end with the Supreme Court ruling. The spying on a woman's menstrual cycles, the spying on what women go, all of that. There are these perverted men that want to do these things. And for some reason, we don't make the large issue that we need to make out of it. Because again, this affects every single childbearing age woman, your daughter, your aunt, your sister. So I want you to listen to this piece here, what I call Autocratic Abortion is the name of the piece I gave it. Check this out and then we'll take it on the other side.
Historians, experts, and those who've lived through the unraveling of democratic democracies abroad have warned us that authoritarianism happens bit by bit, slowly, not all at once. When you're living in it, it can be hard to recognize the bit-by-bit part, and that's why we want to draw your attention to an example of the slow, imperceptible building toward authoritarianism. In this case, an insidious little bit of policymaking in Indiana that's part of a broader, dangerous construction of an anti-abortion surveillance state that should be seen as a threat to women everywhere. A recent report from the Indiana Department of Health lays bare how the state is moving forward with enforcing its near-total abortion ban, which includes collecting medical records of legal abortions that are performed in compliance with the very narrow exceptions to the state's abortion ban, and moving to release those records in a public registry, conducting special audits of each of those abortion records to ensure those few patients really did fit into the exception, penalizing doctors or hospitals that don't hand over the abortion records, and ramping up collaboration between the state health department and the Attorney General's office to aid in the prosecution of abortion providers. Writers Jessica Valenti and Kyle Chung zero in on why this effort in Indiana is so dangerous. Quote, abortion is illegal in Indiana. You can only get one if your life is at risk, the fetus has a fatal abnormality, or if you're the victim of sexual violence and early in pregnancy. In other words, almost no one is getting an abortion in Indiana. So why pour all this state money, manpower, and energy into policing a tiny handful of abortions? The whole point is to scare the hell out of anyone considering abortion or helping someone get care. More than that, this document and the entire effort behind it is about building formal state systems that make pregnancy surveillance and policing look normal, ordinary, boring. It's the bureaucratic reproductive police state in action, end quote. Joining me now is Kylie Chung, staff reporter for the Abortion Everyday column on Substack. She's the author of the book Coercion, Surviving and Resisting Abortion Bans, which comes out tomorrow. Kylie, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I think what we're really seeing is that Indiana Republicans have created a model for what a reproductive police state might look like, and they think they're going to get away with it because they're doing it in the most boring and bureaucratic ways possible. And in this case, it's a 10-page document that details, their efforts to ramp up enforcement of their abortion ban. And what we often see is that one anti-abortion state becomes the testing ground, and we then see that states across the country, we see these tactics repeated there. And that's why, at Abortion Every Day, it's so important that we're covering even the smallest and most seemingly boring reproductive rights news, because we don't want the anti-abortion movement to get away with any of it. And, Republicans so often say that their laws don't punish women. But first of all, forced pregnancy is punishment. And second of all, this rhetoric just does not match with the reality, which is, in Indiana, we're seeing that Republicans want to essentially maintain a database of people's abortions, kept in the same place, in the same registry where they're tracking birth and death certificates. And we're seeing, Attorney General Todd Rokita lead an ongoing court battle to try to make these records public. And with this latest report, the 10-page report that you mentioned, what we're seeing is that the state is making clear that they intend to fine and punish hospitals that don't sufficiently comply or provide the private medical data of abortion patients, so that the Attorney General can prosecute abortion providers potentially. And, again, as you pointed out, there are almost no in-clinic abortions in the state of Indiana. So the goal here, the objective very clearly is just to terrorize healthcare workers, because we know that Indiana's abortion ban offers only very few, very narrow exceptions. But the reality is that providers are made to fear the threat of prison time, to the extent that despite these exceptions, under almost no circumstances is abortion care being provided. And, Todd Rokita, who I mentioned, is the same Attorney General who targeted Dr. Caitlin Bernard, an OB-GYN in Indiana, after she spoke to a reporter or after she told a reporter that she provided abortion care to a 10-year-old rape victim from Ohio shortly after Dobbs, while abortion was still legal in Indiana. And what then happened was that the state of Indiana accused her of not reporting this abortion, but we know that she did. And what then ensued was an extensive legal harassment campaign that was meant to make an example out of Dr. Caitlin Bernard. And I think that what's important to emphasize here is that state surveillance and policing of abortion and pregnancy are unfortunately not limited to Indiana at all. I mean, in 46 states and the District of Columbia, there are laws requiring some form of abortion reporting, singling out abortion from other health services. And, there are some states that have passed legislation that will require burial or cremation of fetal remains, which can create a death certificate and enter someone's abortion into the public record. And the stakes of state surveillance and policing of pregnancy are incredibly high. Again, Republicans say that these laws don't punish women, but that does not square with the reality at all. In the first year after the Dobbs decision, there were at least 200 or over 200 cases of people who were arrested on criminal charges related to their pregnancy, the most in a single year period. And abortion bans are just creating this climate in which pregnancy is innately shrouded in criminal risk and suspicion.
Now, it's a good thing that we have people that are doing stuff other than, the silly subjects that we have here, right? It is so important. It is so important that we have these watchdogs out there, because these laws come to be. And after they come to be, by the time we can do something about it, it's too late. Women, your bodies are under attack by this president's party, and those who support this president. It is a sad state that we're in. It's funny because they do this all claiming religion. And the thing about it is, I tell you what I want to play for you, actually. This woman I saw that touched my heart I want you to listen to what she had to say about whose side religion is on. Check this out, and then we'll move on from here. This just kind of came into mind. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
To speak up. This is a message to my family of faith. I've been in church my entire life. I started volunteering in the nursery when I was 12 years old. I helped with vacation Bible schools. I tithed. I taught Bible studies. I opened my home for life groups. I mentored women. I showed up. I served. I stayed. And now I look around and I wonder, where's the church? Where are the voices that should be crying out for the vulnerable? Where is the righteous anger when children are ripped from their parents and thrown into cages? Where is the heartbreak when refugees are turned away when they're hungry and denied food, and when the poor are crushed by greed? How did we become so silent in the face of cruelty? How did we become more loyal to a political party than to the teachings of Jesus? I know the church was meant to be the conscience of the nation, the defenders of the weak, the peacemakers, the ones who run towards the hurting, not away. But lately I've seen too many pundits go quiet when they should be roaring like the prophets. I've seen comfort take precedence over conviction, and it breaks my heart because I still believe in the church. I believe in her purpose and I believe in her power. But I also believe we must repent, not just as individuals, but as a body, because we have failed to do what we were supposed to do. It is time to wake up. It's not too late to stand with the oppressed. It's not too late to become the church we were meant to be. But silence is no longer an option. When will you rise? When will you speak? When will you remember what Jesus told us to do? If you're not ready to say this out loud yet, then hold it right here in your heart until the fire settles into clarity, because we have work to do. If you can't do it out loud yet, whisper it as a prayer. But you have to do something. We have to. Because the truth we carry, it is holy. And the world needs it. Go love your neighbor.
I think this lady, I can imagine what's going to happen the next time she go into her evangelical church, where how people are going to look at her when they see her message. But she is absolutely right about that. I'm a humanist. I'm a former Christian turned humanist, but many of my relatives still Christians now. Don says, who's funding Alec Jones? Like I said, the right will always be very, very well funded. Evil has unlimited sources of investment. I'm not kidding you, and I don't use that word evil lightly. Why do I use the word evil? Because what these people are supporting is the instantiation of evil. Who do I have the honor of speaking with? Who do I have the honor of speaking with?
This is John. John
John,
Davis.
how you doing? Talk to me.
I'm fine. The reason I called is that I would think that if you get that access that information from these patients, isn't that a violation of their privacy and of HIPAA? And I wonder if anyone's going to take this, to court. I would hope that somebody would do that for sure.
I think it is. I think it is. Now, how the state gets around that, because they have good lawyers as well. They probably get around the record. I look. I don't know. I would be lying if I said I know how they did it. But my assumption is that there is some workaround that they think they can get around to simplifying that. But even above and beyond that, right? My issue isn't even with the privacy thing. My issue is with them being able to tell a woman what to do with her body. Look, I'm going to sound callous here, right? But anything living within that woman's body is dependent on her. And if I
Yeah.
asked you to cut your blood supply so that I can take a placenta out of a woman and have the blood supply to that placenta come from you, and I order you to do it, because remember, some people would say, well, you know what, it takes two to tango, and a part of that baby in that flesh in that woman's body belong to the guy. I say, okay, let's see if you can actually make it live. You can't. It has to be left to the woman.
No.
And if you want to go biblical, what I later on, I'm going to play a video from Talarico, who's running for right now. He's a representative. I am going to be pushing for him to run for Texas Senate. I don't like the current people at the head of the Democratic establishment is putting out there to run. I want this guy Talarico to run, and we are putting a posse together to get this guy to run for Texas senator. Let me tell you what this guy says. This guy is a minister, or I think he's in the seminary or something like that. And this guy comes out and he says, if you look at the Bible in, I think it is Luke, when God was asking Mary for immaculate conception. And by the way, whether you believe this or not, it's not the issue. The thing is that even the words of the Bible, supposedly the angel asked Mary for permission to use her body. So those who want to get biblical, if they so want to, again, it's in the Bible. The request is asked of her body. So John, what I think we all have to be here for is to protect women. And unfortunately, too many women didn't vote to protect themselves when they elected Donald Trump, because it's not like they didn't know what came with the right.
Yeah. But, there is just such hypocrisy because, apparently, making abortion illegal never worked. And I'm a person of faith, and I don't believe that women should get an abortion, but I think they should be free to make that decision. And, right now, we're going to euthanize a good portion of the population. On my Facebook page, people are talking about how, that life is going to be so hard for them with the diseases that they have that they would rather have assisted suicide and die with dignity than die without any kind of care. So, it's beyond the pale. It's not an issue for me, even though I'm a person of faith. I don't wrap my faith around that. And then also, we're sending, millions and millions of armaments to kill Gazan children. They don't belong to Hamas.
I am glad that you told
40,000 or 20,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to move on, but I just want to say this.
No,
John, hold on. What I do want to tell you is thank you for bringing that up, because that is true. While they want to protect that clump of cells in the womb, they're ready to bomb Gazans. They're ready to bomb Slovenians. They're ready to bomb all these other places where many more are dead.
Yep.
So anyway, thank you.
And the thing is, though, being pro, life is much more than, preventing a fetus from being aborted. And I'm sick of the hypocrisy, and we need to point it out all the time. The media is so bad at doing that. I would say that as a criticism of the media, they do, because I watched, Jake Tapper this morning. And, they bring up, it's like some idiot says something, and because Fox News and Newsmax, which is an infotainment,
and then they all take it, and then they all take it. Hey, I got to go, John, because we have a lot more to cover.
Yeah.
My bad. Thank you, my brother.
Yep.
And Margaret says, thank you, brother. Margaret says, just finished Jerry Ashton interview. Jerry, I'm going to be playing Jerry Ashton's interview tomorrow on No, on Friday on KPFT, not tomorrow. I think I'll be doing it on Friday on KPFT. So you'll be able to listen to that one on Friday at KPFT as well. Patrick Magner says elective sterilization is way up. Some speculate they want to increase population by removing the right to choose to have a child, but it might be having the opposite effect. Tell me about it. Let's see. Maywood says, not that I support Act Blue, but this going after the fundraiser is downright. Look, again, let me tell you, all of this is smoke and mirrors that you hear. A lot of the stuff you see from Mike Cisak in the chat, guys, is smoke and mirrors. It is all these conspiracy crap that these guys are putting out. To my brothers and sisters that are thinking, disregard those commentaries, please. Let's work on things that make sense. Patrick Magner is a good source of information. Margaret Ryan, I'm talking about the folks in our chat. Margaret Ryan is a good source of information. Michael Rutnin, a good source of information. My brother from Atlanta, from Powder Springs, is a good source of information. You know, sometimes I forget names, you know what I mean? Bruce Pollard, good source of information. I'm talking about in our chat right now. But don't listen to all the bloviating BS that simply rile you up. Don't do it. Carl Cox, good source of information. Harry Brent, good source of information. Lisa Blair, Yvette Avery Herod. Okay? Understand that there are some folks in the chat that it's just noise. And let's look at it as noise. Notice I never bring it up unless it's something I definitely want to refute. It's important for us to have a sane chat. For those people who are putting crap in there to simply disregard it. That way our chat can flow and we can all have a good experience. That's what we want, a good experience. And you can have a good experience even with those people that are putting crap in the chat by simply letting it flow away. Joe from Los Angeles, thank you for being here. I saw a message from my buddy from Powder Springs. Now I can't find the damn thing. I want to, let's see. Okay, I have another thing. This is from Talarico. And I want this guy to run for Senate of Texas. I think this is one person who can win it, not only in the cities, but in the rural areas. I want you to see how he spoke on MSNBC last night when he was asked a very specific question, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
State Representative James Talarico still standing in the dark in Texas. I'm very grateful. So let me ask you, there's so much happening in Texas right now. I think that's representative of a lot of things happening around the country. You've been in the legislature since 2018. It's now day 2 of a special session where Greg Abbott wants the legislature to gerrymander its congressional maps too. That's something others in Washington have been pushing for. But I mean, I'm of the view, which I think you agree on, that if you're trying to suppress people's votes, you're worried not enough people want to vote for you, that sort of the thing. But they're trying it nonetheless. So I guess the question I have for you is, I mean, Democrats are in the minority. What can be done to fight back on this? And is there anything that can be done to prevent it from moving forward?
Well, let's just be clear about what's happening. Donald Trump is attempting to rig the next election. Mm-hmm. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill. They're literally kicking millions of people off their health care to fund tax cuts for billionaires. And they know it's unpopular, but they don't care because they have a plan. Donald Trump just called Governor Abbott and told him to redraw the political maps in Texas to gain 5 more Republican seats so they can protect their majority no matter what the election outcomes are. I mean, this is the rot at the core of our broken political system. Politicians choosing their voters instead of voters picking their politicians. In any other industry, this would be called a conflict of interest. And so Democrats here in Texas are going to do everything we can to stop this power grab, because if it happens here in Texas, they're going to do it in every red state across the country. They're going to rig the 2026 midterms. We're obviously in the minority here in Texas. We've been in the minority for about 30 years, so we've learned how to use every tool in our toolbox to fight for people and deliver for people. So we have the rules. We can use the rules to figure out how to slow things down and how to kill bad bills. We can use our platforms to organize people like we're doing out here in Plano. We can also deny quorum because they need all the Democrats to show up to be able to conduct business. We did that in 2021 to stop their voter suppression bill. And so these tactics are all things that we can use and employ to try to prevent this power grab from actually happening. And so I'm going to be talking to my colleagues here at the state capitol and figuring out what tools we can use to fight for people and protect this democracy.
One of the other things I learned from your interview with Joe Rogan is that there are billionaires everywhere trying to control government, but there are 2 billionaires who are essentially bankrolling Republican candidates in Texas.
Yes.
And much of the extremist legislation coming out of the state. I mean, it struck me as a kind of a microcosm of what we're seeing everywhere, including in Washington. What worries you the most about the growing influence of money in politics? You're seeing it front and center in your own state.
Yeah, I just told the folks that are here that the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. I mean, the people at the top, the Elon Musks, the Rupert Murdochs, these 2 billionaires in Texas, Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks, they use their wealth and their power to divide us intentionally because our unity, whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or Republican, us being united is a threat to their wealth and power. And so they use their social media algorithms, their cable news networks, in the case of Fox News, to tear us apart. And I think that people, no matter what your party is, are really sick of how politics feels. They're tired of how it divides families, how it ends friendships. I mean, you can be a part of this political conversation, and most people walk away just feeling awful. So there is I think, a hunger out there, again, on both sides of the aisle, to change this political system so that it can actually work for people, so that we can have conversations respectfully, even when we disagree. I mean, that is the foundation of democracy. On Joe Rogan's show, I talked about how my faith teaches me to love my enemies, to love my opponents. I have no problem having opponents like I do in the Texas House when I'm fighting for universal health care and public schools. But I am still called to love those opponents, to see them as children of God, to see them as sacred and holy. I think that teaching to love our enemies, that is the key to saving democracy, not just here in America, but around the world. We have to be able to talk to each other again, because imagine who we could take on. Imagine what we could do with these wealthy special interests if we did it together.
Just imagine, if we simply work together. And again, if you notice earlier, I talked about folks in the chat that bring misinformation. Why do I want them to remain in the chat? Because you know what? At some point, something happens in people's lives that opens that soil for that seed that you're planting to grow. Because they are built on a layer of sand. We are built on solid foundation. Eventually, the facade goes away. Eventually, they realize they've been had. In fact, it's going to be coming sooner than later for many of them. They are about to realize that their Führer not only lied to them, but he has cauterized in law many of the processes that will hurt them. And that gives a big opening to somebody like James Talarico, because James provides that perfect bridge, because he's a very progressive guy. But he's a progressive not necessarily with that very confrontational tone, which I do think is needed many a times. But I think he has the ability to reach. People have different ways of connecting that's successful. Some people can connect aggressively, and some people can connect in a manner in which he does. And what I've seen in that young man, and he's a bit younger than I am, much younger than I am. What I've seen in that young man is somebody who can hold the Texas Longhorn by the horns and move forward, much more so than the establishment's choice. And the establishment's choice is one that we in the progressive movement here in Texas will not be supporting. All right. let's see. I was missing Paul Fleming. Paul Fleming is the one that I want to say, hey, check out Paul Fleming. He always comes with good information as well. Thank you, Paul, for being here as well. I saw somebody else in the room, Anthony LeFranco. Good information as well. How you doing, Anthony LeFranco? All right, Cynthia says, you know that progressives are hated by both Republicans and Democrats. Let's flip that a little bit, Cynthia. Progressive are hated by neoliberal Democrats, and neoliberal Democrats are nothing more than Republicans light. They are the folks that make the Democratic Party palatable for the corporatocracy. So I really don't mind ridding us of the neoliberal Democrats if I can inherit the true progressive Republicans. Okay? Adam, you're late, but you're here. Thank you for being here. You see what I'm saying, Cynthia? I know a lot of progressive Republicans right now that they are an inch away from getting over that hump to say, I am really with you, but I'm a cultural Republican. And I understand that. I mean, think about it. You've been a Republican all your life. It is hard to come and now say, I am a Democrat, so I'm not asking any of these folks to do it. I'm just asking them to vote their interests. Look, I love them all. I love my MAGA friends. I love my Republican friends. I love my Democratic friends, my Autocratic, my neoliberals. But when it comes to policy, I am going to fight like hell to make sure that the progressive policies, which is what most Americans say that they want, when we take it off of the party domain and then move forward with that. And that's where we're at. All right, let's see. We've got Paraver. I don't think I have any more videos to show. So if anybody wants to call in or want to chat in, do that as well. Cynthia says Republicans are no longer the party of Lincoln. No, that flip occurred from the time the Dixiecrats became the new Republican Party. Remember that. There was a switcheroo. The Dixiecrats, I mean, look, all these Republicans in Texas used to be Democrats. I mean, the last governor of Texas was formerly a Republican. What's his name? The guy who couldn't tell the different departments of the different departments that he was going to run. Come on, help me out. Who was the former governor of Texas? I mean, he was a Democrat. I mean, so that's how it is. Let's see. Michael said, Egberto, if we didn't have a duopoly, there would be 4 parties in this country. Progressive, which includes the Democratic Socialists, exactly. Neoliberals, which include the Democratic Party's core. Corporatist neocons, which includes the Republican Party core. And red hats, which include the manner of deplorables. You know what? Can I reduce that to 3 parties? I am going to put the neoliberals and the neocons together, really. But because I want you to remember during the Iraq War, just about every Democrat except that one Democrat from California, what's her name? Can't remember her name now. Rick Ferry, thank you, Adam. Rick Ferry is the one who voted for the war. They're all the same. I'm not talking about the rank and file now. I'm just talking about the leadership. All right, welcome, Joe Walker. Let's see. John Davis says they are not the party of progressives. Teddy Roosevelt. Exactly. You have to remember that the Progressive Party used to be, in fact, the Republicans. In fact, the Republicans came up as the anti-slavery party, right? Egberto, social wedge issue would divide the two you would put together. Okay, I'll buy that. I'll buy that, Michael. I think you're right about that. Not I think. You are right about that. I'm not gonna put a corollary onto that or anything like that. All right, let's see what else I have in the chat that I need to mention. Faraver. By the way, guys, I'm going to close down about 5 minutes early today because I have to prepare for another interview that's going to be on. Is it going to be on tomorrow? I'm not sure. Probably be on tomorrow on this channel and on the on KPFT, the other one. All right, anybody wants to call, give me a call, 281-823-7747. 281, let me put it in the chat, 281-823-7747. 7747. 281-823-7747. Please feel free to give us a call and we'll take that call. One of the callers said, sometime I need to speak about guns. And you're up. Hey, Peggy Lopez, how you doing, my beautiful Peggy? Are you in the United States or are you in Mexico, Peggy? How could, and Peggy said, look, Peggy's in the chat. She says, Egberto, have you forgotten me? How could I possibly do that? I want everybody to know that the chats scroll like crazy, okay? So if I miss you, you do exactly what Peggy do. I am going to make you see me. I am going to make you see me. Peggy, how you doing, girlfriend? Glad to see you here. Let's see. By the way, Eric says Hidalgo ratings are low, Egberto. Imagine that. Well, by the way, I'll be interviewing Anise Parker next week. How you doing, Joanne? Talk to me.
Hi, I want to talk about impressionable young girls, both from the religious side and trafficking side. When you're young, girl or boy, you are so impressionable. But specifically about the church and the conservative, what we call conservative right now, it's so different. When I was 8 years old in 1978 in church, and Pastor Chuck Smith talked about the love of Jesus Christ and how we had to spread that and witness for God. As a child, I believed that. And then after church, he says, after the sermon, let us pray. And I vividly remember with all of my soul praying, may my eyes be filled with the love. That's not like how it is right now. There's only hate.
No, it's not. Now, hold on a second. Marge KJ says she doesn't have any sound. Who are you not hearing, Marge? And is anybody not hearing both myself and Joanne? Continue, Joanne.
That's all I had to say. It's sad. I mean, I think that I was being brainwashed because they had lots of terrible things to say, but somehow at the core they had this thing. And I prayed, let the love of Jesus.
Well, you know, I was listening to
but
a
they
religious.
don't even have that anymore.
Yeah, I was listening to a religious program a couple of days ago, and they were mentioning that exactly what you just said about the church and why folks have to be. Thank you, Yvette. Why one has to be very concerned about what church you go to, etc. Because if we take a look right now at the church wholeheartedly supporting things like the big bad bill, etc. When they got upset at senators who I saw religious people on Fox News getting mad at senators and congress people who refused to pass, who were given a hard time to pass the bill. For those who follow the Bible, you have to wonder, as the woman I put on earlier said, what has happened to these people? What has happened to these people?
It's
Thank you for
very
calling
sad.
in. Thank you for calling in,
Thank
Joanne.
you.
Joanne from Los Angeles, California. We have people from just about every state. Femk, welcome. F. Adams, welcome. All right, folks, I'm going to be taking off a bit early today because, like I said, I have to prepare for a couple of other interviews. Let me just also say that I think Friday's show will be I'll pull down some important interviews for Friday because Friday I may not be doing the program live on Friday. I'll let you know for sure. My dear brother Patrick, how you doing?
Doing fine. I know
Oh, wait,
that
wait.
you're trying to quit 5 minutes early, so it's going to be really
Yeah,
fast.
but
and
that's
I'm
all right,
gonna.
Patrick. I want to apologize to you first of all. I needed to check you out on creating that blog about that issue. I've just been swamped, but I do want to complete that project. All right, brother?
Oh, take as much time as you want. And anything else I can do for you,
Great.
please let me know. But I'm about to upset you, so you might take all that back. I know in the beginning you said that you didn't want to talk about Epstein, and this is going to be the only call that I make about it. But we wouldn't need an Epstein list if we would listen and believe women. There wouldn't be an Epstein list if it wasn't for a difference in classes. The middle class and the underclass would not get away with this, and the upper class is absolutely hiding people. They commoditized children, boys and girls. They rounded up women or deceived women. And I think that that's an aspect that we should talk about.
Okay, let me first tell you, the next time we have coffee, I'm gonna give you a big hug, but then I'm gonna tell you you twisted my words. Uh, Epstein wasn't the main subject of what you just said. What you just said was something that should be done in the aggregate. I mean, if that young 13-year-old that actually said, there's a suit out there that was squashed with a young 13-year-old talking about both Epstein and the president, but it was squashed. And Lev Parnas, who I interviewed, has that information and he has released it. Okay? You remember Lev Parnas that I interviewed?
Yeah.
The guy who worked for Donald Trump? It's a real story. And I can't say much about that because you get into legal stuff and all that kind of stuff, but that is a real story. But hey, let's talk tomorrow, okay?
Absolutely. You have a great day. Thank you very much for having me on.
You too, my brother. All right, folks, I got to get out of here, but I have to do a quick ask before I get out. And that is, I ask you so kindly, those of you that are listening and see the value in what we're doing and that have not yet become paid subscribers of our newsletter, Egberto Off the Record, I ask you so kindly to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber. That is the way we are able to pay our internet bills. That is the way we're able to get paid for our AI and everything that we use to bring you a program. Without it, we cannot survive. I want to thank those of you there are many of you that are not only subscribers to the newsletter, but subscriber to our YouTube channel, as well as our what is it called? Patreon. Some of you are on all three. All I'm saying, if you have the wherewithal, please become subscribers of the newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I couldn't do this without you. You guys are wonderful. Those that are already subscribing, thank you so kindly. Those that will subscribe, thank you. I also ask you to please share this information, whether by links, and even when you're in the grocery stores and you hear somebody say something silly, just nicely talk to them. Open yourself up. The only way we're going to change this stuff is if we go out there and talk to people. And I know, folks, we can do it. So please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, become a paid subscriber. You are making sure the message goes out. I got to get out of here. Love you all. You can email me directly at info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.